The bar on Freehold 9 smelled like cheap fuel and cheaper dreams. Vexstar sat at the corner table, his scales gleaming under the dim lights. He was Iscarian, one of the best mercenary leaders in the outer sectors. His crew had never failed a job. Never. 40,000 credits, the client said through the encrypted channel. The voice was disguised, mechanical. For a simple raid. In and out. 20 hours maximum. Vexstar's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Easy money always had a catch. What's the target? Human Research Facility. Sector 772. Remote location. Minimal security. Krell leaned forward, his insect eyes glittering. He was the weapons expert, the one who had blown apart a military depot on Thresh Prime without getting a scratch. How minimal? 6 human operators on site. Standard security protocols. The facility has valuable tech. Our client wants it intact. 6 humans? Vexstar had fought humans before. They were soft, fragile things. Their bones broke easily. Their skin tore like wet paper. 40 of his best fighters against 6 humans? It was almost insulting. We'll take it, Vexstar said. The payment transferred immediately. Half now, half on completion. Vexstar divided the work. Morphus would scout ahead, using his shape-shifting abilities to gather intel. Thane would lead the assault teams with his heavy armor and raw strength. Krell would handle any defensive systems. At the next table, an old mercenary sat alone. His face was covered in scars, and he was missing 3 fingers on his left hand. He had been listening. Don't take that job, the old mercenary said quietly. Vexstar turned to him, annoyed. Excuse me? Human military contracts. Never take them. Especially not their special forces. The old mercenary's hand shook as he raised his drink. I've seen what they do. I'm the only one who walked away from my last encounter. And they let me live as a warning. Krell laughed, a chittering sound like breaking glass. 6 humans? We have 40 of the best fighters in the galaxy. We've taken down entire security battalions. That's what my crew said too, the scarred mercenary whispered. We were 73, heavily armed. We thought we were hunting them. He stared into his drink. We were wrong about who was hunting who. Morphus shifted in his seat, his form rippling. Old fool probably lost his nerve. That's why he's drinking alone while we're taking contracts. Thane cracked his massive knuckles. The sound echoed through the bar like gunshots. Let him talk. We know what we're doing. But Vexstar felt something cold crawl down his spine. He had learned to trust his instincts. They had kept him alive for 20 years. What happened to your crew? He asked. The old mercenary looked up. His eyes were haunted, empty. We hit a training facility. Just like yours. Intelligence said 12 humans inside, probably scientists. We breached at dawn. He paused, swallowing hard. By sunset, I was the only one left. The humans? They didn't lose a single person. Not one. I found pieces of my friends scattered across 3 kilometers. Some of the bodies looked like they had been taken apart by machines. Precise. Clinical. Fast. You're trying to scare us, Vexstar said. But his voice lacked conviction. I'm trying to save you. The old mercenary stood up, dropping credits on the table. But you won't listen. No one ever does. The money's too good. He walked toward the door, then stopped. When you meet them, you'll understand. Humans aren't like other species. Their soldiers are one thing. But their special forces? They're something else. Something worse. They don't just win fights. They make examples. After he left, the crew sat in silence for a moment. Then Krell broke it with another laugh. Crazy old veteran. Probably saw too much combat. Lost his mind. Agreed. Morpheus said. We've studied humans. They're average fighters at best. Good technology, but soft biology. We'll be fine. Vexstar wanted to believe them. The intel package arrived an hour later. He reviewed it carefully. The facility was small, built into the side of a mountain on an uninhabited moon. Power signatures showed minimal activity. Life signs confirmed 6 humans, just as promised. The defensive systems were standard military grade, nothing his crew couldn't handle. The layout was simple. 1 main entrance, 2 service tunnels, an emergency exit near the landing pad. 3 floors, mostly laboratories and living quarters. The humans would be sleeping when they arrived. Quick, clean, easy. Vexstar assembled his crew in the docking bay. 40 fighters, each one a specialist. Each one a killer. They had worked together for years. They moved like a single organism, deadly and efficient. We going hard and fast, Vexstar told them. 4 teams. Krell's team secures the entrance and disables their systems. Thane's team sweeps the upper floors. Morpheus scouts ahead and eliminates any resistance. My team secures the tech and the data. What about the 6 humans? Someone asked. Vexstar's scales rippled in what might have been a smile. 6 humans against 40 of us? Try not to damage the bodies too much. The client might want proof. The crew laughed. It was a good sound, full of confidence. They loaded into the assault ship and jumped to hyperspace. The journey would take 14 hours. Vexstar tried to sleep, but the old mercenary's words kept echoing in his mind. There's something else. Something worse. He pushed the thoughts away. Fear was a luxury he couldn't afford. The job was simple. They had done harder things before. The ship dropped out of hyperspace right on schedule. The moon hung before them, gray and lifeless. The facility was a dark spot against the rocky surface, barely visible. No defensive fire, Krell reported. No active sensors. They don't even know we're here. Morpheus grinned. Like I said, easy money. The assault ship descended through the thin atmosphere. The facility grew larger in the viewport. Vexstar could see the landing pad, empty except for 1 small transport ship. Prep for landing, he ordered. Full combat load. Remember, we want the tech intact, but if those humans resist, put them down fast. The ship touched down with barely a whisper. The cargo ramp lowered. Cold air rushed in, carrying the smell of rock and metal. Vexstar led his crew out into the darkness. 40 trained killers, armed and ready. Somewhere inside that facility, 6 humans were waiting. Neither side knew it yet, but only one group would leave this moon alive. The outer door exploded inward with a shower of sparks. Krell's charges had worked perfectly, cutting through the reinforced steel like it was paper. Smoke filled the entrance corridor as the first team rushed inside. Clear. Someone shouted, then another voice. All clear. Vexstar followed his teams inside, weapon ready. The facility was quiet. Too quiet. Emergency lights flickered along the walls, casting red shadows across empty corridors. The air smelled sterile, recycled. His thermal scanner showed nothing moving on this floor. Morpheus, report, Vexstar said into his com. I'm in, Morpheus replied. His voice was smooth, confident. Second floor looks empty. Moving to third now. These humans must be asleep. This will be over before they wake up. Krell split his team to disable the security systems. Within minutes, he had control of the facility's power grid, life support, and communications. All systems locked down, he reported. They can't call for help. They can't even turn on the lights without my permission. Perfect. Everything was going according to plan. Vexstar divided the remaining teams. Thane, take your 10 and sweep the residential wing. Second floor, east side. The humans will be there. Remember, we need at least one alive for questioning." Thane's massive form disappeared down the corridor, his team following like shadows. Vexstar took his own team toward the laboratories. The tech they needed would be stored there. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. "Thane, status report." Vexstar ordered. Silence. "Thane, respond." More silence. Then static. Then a sound that made Vexstar's blood run cold. A wet, tearing noise, followed by something heavy hitting the floor. "Team Alpha, this is command. Report your status immediately." Nothing. The comm channel was dead. Vexstar switched frequencies. "Krell, do you have eyes on Team Alpha?" "Negative. Their suit cameras went dark 2 minutes ago. All 10 of them, simultaneously. That wasn't possible. 10 trained mercenaries didn't just disappear. Send Team Beta to investigate. Full combat formation. Watch your corners." Team Beta moved cautiously through the corridors, weapons raised. Vexstar watched through their helmet cameras. Everything looked normal. Clean white walls. Closed doors. Empty hallways. Then the first body appeared. It was Thane, or what was left of him. The massive warrior lay in a spreading pool of dark blood. His armor had been torn open from behind, the metal peeled back like foil. Whatever had killed him had been strong, enough to rip through military-grade plating with bare hands. "By the void," someone whispered. Around Thane's body lay the rest of Team Alpha, 9 corpses in various states of destruction. Some had been killed with precision strikes to vital areas. Others looked like they had been taken apart methodically. And the strangest thing? There were no shell casings. No burn marks from energy weapons. No signs of conventional combat at all. How did they die? Vexstar demanded. "I don't know," the team leader replied. His voice shook. "It looks like something killed them all in less than a minute, without firing a shot." Movement flickered on one of the cameras. Just a blur, there and gone. "Did you see that?" Vexstar asked. "See what?" The camera feed cut to black. Then another. Then another. Screams erupted over the comm, sharp and brief. The sound of breaking bone, tearing metal. A gurgling noise that might have been someone trying to breathe through a crushed WINDPIP. Then silence. Team Beta was gone. 20 mercenaries dead in under 5 minutes. "Pull back," Vexstar ordered. "Everyone, fall back to the entrance. Now." His remaining teams retreated in chaos, firing blindly at shadows. Something moved through the corridors with them, unseen but present. Vexstar caught glimpses on his scanner. Heat signatures that appeared and vanished. Movement too fast for his eyes to track. Krell met him at the entrance, his insect face pale. "I reviewed the security footage," he said, "before I lost access to the cameras. What did you see?" "Them." Krell brought up a holographic display. The footage was grainy, but clear enough. It showed a human moving through the corridor where Team Alpha had died. The human wore dark tactical gear with no insignia. Their face was covered by a mask. They moved with impossible speed, covering 10 meters in less than a second. In the video, Thane turned to fight. He was fast for his size, his combat reflexes enhanced by military augments. He swung his massive fist at the human's head. The human caught his fist, then twisted. Thane's arm broke with a sound like splintering wood. Before Thane could scream, the human drove an armored fist through his back plating and into his spine. Thane dropped like a falling building. The whole thing took 3 seconds. "There's more," Krell said. He switched to another camera. This one showed a different human, smaller, moving through the shadows. This one carried a long rifle. As Vexstar watched, the human took position in the doorway and fired once. The camera was a kilometer away, but the footage showed one of Beta Team's members dropping dead, a hole through their helmet. One shot. One kill. From a distance that should have been impossible. How many of them are there? Vexstar asked. I counted 4 different individuals before the cameras went dark. But there could be more. 4 humans have killed 20 of his best fighters without taking a single casualty. Vexstar felt fear, real fear, for the first time in years. We still have 20 fighters left, Morphus said. He had returned from his scouting mission, unsuccessful. We can still win this. We just need to work together. Use our numbers. Vexstar wasn't sure anymore. But retreating now meant losing the payment and his reputation. Everyone, fall back to the main hangar. We fortify there, set up crossfire patterns. They have to come through the choke points. We'll cut them down. The remaining mercenaries moved to the hangar, a large open space near the landing pad. It was defensible, with only 3 entrances. They set up barricades and positioned their heavy weapons to cover all approaches. They can't touch us here, one mercenary said, trying to sound confident. We have the high ground. We have the firepower. Let them come. Hours passed. Nothing happened. The facility was silent, except for the hum of life support and the nervous breathing of scared mercenaries. Then, the lights went out. Krell, I thought you controlled the power. Vexstar shouted. I did. Someone else is in the system. They're better than me. They're shutting me out. Emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in blood-red illumination. In that crimson glow, Vexstar saw movement in the rafters above. Something human-shaped, clinging to the metal beams like a spider. Above us! He screamed. The mercenaries opened fire, their weapons lighting up the darkness. Bullets and energy bolts tore through the metal roof. The hangar filled with the sound of battle. When they stopped to reload, Vexstar realized something horrible. 3 more of his crew were dead on the floor, killed silently while everyone was shooting at shadows. And somewhere in the darkness, he heard a sound that froze his blood. Laughter. Quiet, controlled, human laughter. They weren't fighting soldiers. They were trapped in a cage with predators, and the hunt had only just begun. 17 mercenaries remained, huddled in the hangar like prey animals. They had pushed their equipment into a circle, creating a makeshift fortress. Every weapon pointed outward. Every eye scanned the shadows. We need to get to the ship, Morphus said. His shape-shifting abilities were useless here. He couldn't infiltrate an enemy he couldn't find. We abort the mission. Take what we can carry and leave. Vexstar checked his comm unit again. Still jammed. Every frequency filled with static. Krell, can you unlock the hangar doors? I'm trying. Someone keeps fighting me for control. Every time I open a door, they close it. Every time I reroute power, they cut it. Krell's voice cracked with frustration. Whoever is in their system is better than me. Much better. A sound echoed through the hangar. Footsteps, slow, measured, deliberately loud. Someone wanted them to know they were coming. Form up, Vexstar ordered. Weapons ready. The footsteps stopped. Then a voice spoke, transmitted through the facility speakers. It was human, male, calm. You have 17 fighters left, the voice said in perfect universal standard. We have 6. By any logical assessment, you should win this engagement. Vexstar's scales bristled. Show yourself, human. But logic doesn't account for skill, for training, for experience. The voice paused. You're mercenaries. You fight for money. We fight because it's what we were made to do. One of the mercenaries fired at a speaker, destroying it. The voice simply switched to another. I am Lieutenant Minho, commanding officer of this facility. You've already met some of my team. Jinwoo was in the corridors when you arrived. He prefers close combat. Very effective, as you discovered. Vextar remembered the footage of Thane being killed. 3 seconds from alive to dead. Hannah is our sniper. She's currently positioned approximately 2,000 meters from your location, with line of sight through the hangar skylight. She could kill any of you right now, but we're not ready to end this yet. Several mercenaries instinctively looked up at the reinforced glass ceiling. Nothing was visible up there but darkness. Then there's Yuna. She's the one who's been playing with your systems. Your weapons specialist Krell has been trying very hard, but Yuna has been doing this since she was 6 years old. She's quite enjoying the challenge. What do you want? Vextar shouted. You want us to surrender? To leave? No, Minho said simply. We want you to understand something. This facility isn't a research station. It's a proving ground. A training facility. And you've just volunteered to be the final exam. The lights flickered. On every wall, holographic displays activated, showing data. Vextar saw classified files, military documents, biological readouts that made no sense. The Chimera program, Minho continued. Genetic enhancement. Cybernetic augmentation. Neural optimization. Psychological conditioning. They took us when we were children and made us into something better than human. Faster, stronger, smarter. We don't sleep like you do. We don't fear like you do. We are what happens when humanity decides to create the perfect soldier. Morphus stood up. You're trying to scare us with stories. You're just 6 people. Enhanced or not, you can't beat 17 armed fighters in an open field. You're right, Minho said. In an open field, with equal weapons and preparation, you might stand a chance. But this isn't an open field. This is our home. And we've spent 3 months preparing for exactly this scenario. The displays changed, showing different combat scenarios. Footage of 6 humans destroying entire units. Battle after battle. The kill counts were impossible. Hundreds dead. No losses on the human side. You want a fair fight? Minho's voice dropped lower. You should have stayed in your bar on Freehold 9. Morphus shifted into his combat form, all claws and armored skin. I've heard enough. I'm going to find you and tear your throat out. Morphus, don't. Vextar started, but Morphus was already moving, faster than normal, his alien biology optimized for assassination. He flowed over the barricades and into the shadows, becoming nearly invisible. Your shapeshifter is good, Minho said. But Doyen is better. 5 minutes passed in tense silence. Then something flew through the air and landed in the center of the mercenary circle. Morphus's head, separated cleanly from his body. His face was locked in an expression of pure terror. 16, Minho said. One of the mercenaries broke, running for the exit. He made it 3 steps before his head exploded. The crack of a rifle shot came a full second later, distant. 15. Hannah says hello. The mercenaries opened fire wildly, shooting at anything that moved. Their ammunition counters dropped rapidly. Panic was setting in, eroding discipline. Vextar tried to restore order, but fear was stronger than training. When the shooting stopped, they counted their ammunition. Half gone, wasted on shadows. Then Vextar noticed something. 4 of his crew were slumped over, dead. Killed during the chaos, while everyone was focused on the darkness. Throats cut. Spines severed. Professional. Silent. 11, Minho said. I'm disappointed. I expected better from such famous mercenaries. Fight us. Vextar roared. Come out and fight. We are fighting you. We've been fighting you since you entered our facility. You just didn't realize it because you're used to warfare being loud, being obvious, being fair. Minho's voice carried a hint of amusement. We don't fight fair. We fight to win. The temperature in the hangar began to drop. Frost formed on the metal walls. Krell frantically worked at his console. "They're venting the atmosphere," he said. "Slowly. We'll freeze to death in about 20 minutes if we don't do something. Override it." Vexstar ordered. "I'm trying. But every time I access the environmental controls, they lock me out. It's like fighting a ghost." Vexstar made a decision. "Everyone, thermal suits. We punch through the main door and get to the ship. Forget the mission. Forget the payment. We're leaving, now." The mercenaries scrambled to follow orders. They rigged explosives to the hangar door while the temperature continued to drop. Krell set the charges for maximum yield. 3, 2, 1. Krell pressed the detonator. Nothing happened. "They disarmed it," Krell whispered. "But how?" "I was watching the charges the entire time." "Sora says your charges are now hers," Minho said. "She's our demolitions expert. Very talented. Very precise." The charges exploded, but not where they were supposed to. They detonated behind the mercenary lines, collapsing part of the hangar ceiling. 3 more mercenaries died, crushed under falling metal. 8, Minho said. Vextar realized the truth. They weren't fighting an enemy. They were insects in a jar, being studied, being tested, being exterminated. "What do you want from us?" he screamed. "Data," Minho replied. "Combat effectiveness metrics. Psychological stress responses. Tactical adaptation under pressure. You're helping us improve. Every mistake you make, every decision you choose, we're learning from it. The next group will be harder to kill because of what we learned from you." "There won't be a next group," Vextar said. "When we don't report back, the guilds will investigate." "Will they?" Minho asked. "How many mercenary crews disappear every year? How many take jobs that go wrong? You chose to attack a human military facility. When they find your bodies, they'll assume you bit off more than you could chew." Which, to be fair, is exactly what happened. One of the remaining mercenaries suddenly stood up and walked toward the darkness, weapon lowered. His eyes were blank, his movements robotic. "What are you doing?" Vextar shouted. "Neural override," Minho said. "Tajun is our heavy weapons specialist, but he's also quite good with electronic warfare. Some of your crew has cybernetic implants. Tajun is seeing how many he can control remotely." The controlled mercenary raised his weapon and aimed at his own companions. Vextar shot him before he could fire. The body fell. 7, Minho said. "Smart choice. Difficult choice." The remaining mercenaries stared at each other with suspicion. Who else had been compromised? Who else might turn? "Final offer," Minho said. "Surrender now. Drop your weapons. We'll make it quick, painless. You have my word as an officer." Vextar looked at his remaining crew, broken, terrified, defeated, but mercenaries didn't surrender. It was bad for business. "We fight," Vextar said. Vextar crawled through the ventilation shaft, his scales scraping against cold metal. Behind him, 6 mercenaries followed, the last of his crew. The hangar had become a death trap, so he had made a desperate choice to split up and search for another way out. The shaft opened into a small observation room filled with computer terminals. Vextar dropped down carefully, weapon ready. The room was empty, clean. The computers were still active, screens glowing in the darkness. "Keep watch," he ordered. 2 mercenaries positioned themselves at the door while Vextar approached the main console. Maybe he could find something useful. A map, a weakness, anything the terminal unlocked at his touch. No password, no security. That should have been his first warning. Files appeared on the screen. Hundreds of them, all marked with the same header. Chimera program classified. Vextar opened the first file. His breath caught Dodd. It was a medical report. Subject designation: CP-141, known as Minho. The file showed a young human child, maybe 7 years old, strapped to a medical table. The text described genetic modifications. Bone density increased by 400%. Muscle fiber reconstruction. Neural pathway enhancement. The list went on for pages. Age 8. First combat training. Exceeded expectations. Age 9. Cybernetic integration. Visual augmentation. Reaction time now 40% faster than baseline human. Age 10. First live fire exercise. No hesitation. No mercy. Psychologically stable. Vextar opened another file. This one was marked Hana. The document showed a young girl, maybe 6 years old, lying in a medical scanner. Her neural patterns were being mapped, analyzed, optimized. Training log. Age 7. Subject demonstrated exceptional hand-eye coordination. Begin sniper training. Age 8. First qualification at 300 meters. Perfect score. Age 9. First kill at 800 meters in combat simulation. Target eliminated before threat awareness. Age 12. Longest confirmed kill. 2,700 meters. Wind speed 30 kilometers per hour. Moving target. Single shot. Clean kill. What is this? One of the mercenaries asked, looking over Vextar's shoulder. They're not soldiers, Vextar whispered. They're weapons. Built from childhood. Designed to kill. He opened more files. Jinwoo, the close combat specialist. Taken at age 5 from an orphanage. Enhanced muscle density. Reinforced skeleton, modified nervous system for faster reaction times. His file showed kill counts in the hundreds. Classified missions in war zones across the galaxy. Yuna, the tech specialist. Child prodigy? IQ measured at 190 before enhancements. After neural optimization, she could process information faster than most computers. Her file showed her hacking secure military networks at age 9. At 12, she had broken into government databases just to prove she could SORA demolitions. Chemistry genius turned into a living weapon. She could build explosives from common materials in minutes. Her file showed a test where she destroyed an entire fortified bunker using only items found in a standard kitchen. Diane, close quarters specialist. Trained in 17 different martial arts before he turned 13. Enhanced reflexes allowed him to see attacks before they happened, reading muscle movements and body language. His file noted, subject shows no fear response. Pain tolerance beyond measurable limits. And Taejun, heavy weapons and electronic warfare. Cybernetic integration at 70%. More machine than human. His file showed him controlling entire weapons platforms with his mind, coordinating drone swarms and hacking enemy systems in real time during combat. They were children, Vextar said, horrified. The humans took children and turned them into this. A video file autoplayed. It showed Minho at age 16, leading his team through a combat simulation. 6 teenagers against 40 adult soldiers equipped with full military gear. The simulation was meant to test their limits. To see if they could handle overwhelming odds. It took them 7 minutes to eliminate all 40 opponents without taking a single casualty. The instructor's voice on the recording sounded pleased. Excellent work, Team 7. You ready for deployment? They're not human anymore, a mercenary whispered. Look at this. He pointed to a biological analysis. The Chimera subjects had been modified at the genetic level. Faster healing. Enhanced senses. Reduced need for sleep. Their bodies produce combat stimulants naturally during stress, keeping them sharp and focused even after days without rest. But the psychological modifications were worse. reduced fear response, enhanced aggression during combat, absolute loyalty to their team and mission. They have been programmed, not just trained. This facility isn't a research station, Vextar realized. It's where they live, where they train, where they're kept doing missions. Another file caught his attention. Mission log from 3 years ago. The Chimera teams had been deployed to end a rebellion on a mining colony. The rebels had taken hostages, demanded independence, threatened to destroy the mines. Chimera Team 7 was sent in Minho, Hana, Jinwoo, Yuna, Sora, Doyun, and Taejun. The mission took 14 hours. 217 rebel fighters were eliminated. All hostages rescued. No civilian casualties. No friendly casualties. The report concluded, subjects performed beyond expectations. Recommend expanded deployment. Vextar scrolled through more missions. Each one the same pattern. Overwhelming enemy forces. Impossible odds. Perfect execution. 0 losses. How do you fight something like this? A mercenary asked. You don't, Vextar said. He understood now why the old mercenary at the bar had been so scared. This wasn't a fight. It never had been. This whole thing was a setup. The contract. The intel. All of it. He found the proof in another file. Operational Protocols for Facility Defense. Section 7. Threat Assessment and Training Exercises. The document explained that hostile forces attempting to raid the facility were to be engaged as live training targets. All combat data would be recorded and analyzed. The goal was to improve Chimera program tactics and identify weaknesses. We're not here to steal their technology, Vextar said, his voice hollow. We're here to be test subjects. They've been studying us since we landed. Every move we make, every decision, they're recording it, learning from it. His comm unit crackled. Minho's voice came through, as calm as ever. I see you found our files. Good. I was hoping you would. This is murder, Vextar said. We're sentient beings. You can't just use us as target practice. You came here to kill us and steal our equipment, Minho replied. You accepted a contract to attack a military installation. What did you think would happen? That we'd surrender? That we'd let you walk away? We're mercenaries. We fight for money. We're not monsters. Neither are we, Minho said. We're just very, very good at our job. And our job is eliminating threats to human security. You became a threat the moment you accepted that contract. Vextar slammed his fist on the console. If you're going to kill us, then come and do it. Stop playing games. This isn't a game, Minho said. This is education. Every mercenary crew that comes here, every terrorist cell, every hostile force, they teach us something new. You've taught us about scary and combat psychology. How long it takes for mercenary discipline to break down under stress. How to counter shapeshifter infiltration tactics. What happens to the data after we're dead? It gets added to the database. Shared with other Chimera teams. Used to train the next generation. Your deaths will make us better at protecting humanity. Vextar looked at his remaining crew. 5 fighters, down from 40. They had no way out. No way to win. There's one exit left, he said. The emergency tunnel near the landing pad. It's our only chance. He knew Minho could hear him. Knew the humans would be waiting. But he had to try. Move out, Vextar ordered. Combat formation. We break through whatever they put in our way. They left the observation room and headed down the corridor toward the landing pad. Every step felt like walking to an execution, because that's exactly what it was. Behind them, in the darkness, Minho watched through the facility's cameras. He made a gesture, and his team moved into position. The final lesson was about to begin. The emergency tunnel was 200 meters ahead. Vexstar could see the exit sign glowing in the darkness. Behind that door was freedom. Behind that door was the landing pad where their ship waited. 6 mercenaries left. Moving fast, weapons ready. They had abandoned stealth for speed. It didn't matter anymore. The humans knew exactly where they were. 50 meters, Vexstar counted down. Stay together. Watch your... The first mercenary's head exploded. The rifle crack came from somewhere far away, echoing through the corridors. Hana, run! Vexstar screamed. They sprinted for the door. Another shot. Another body dropped. The sniper was picking them off one by one, and they couldn't even see where the shots were coming from. The kills were precise, professional, impossible. Vexstar reached the door first. He slammed his fist on the control panel. The door slid open, revealing the tunnel beyond. Cold air rushed in from outside. He could see stars through the opening at the far end. 3 mercenaries left now, including Vexstar and Krell. They ran into the tunnel, boots pounding on metal grating. The exit was close. So close. Then Tajin stepped out from behind a support pillar. The human was massive, bigger than any of the others Vexstar had seen in the files. His armor was heavy, reinforced, covered in weapon systems. In his hands he carried a minigun that would normally require a vehicle mount. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but Vexstar could see the glow of cybernetic implants through the visor. End of the line, Tajin said. His voice was deep, mechanical, processed through speakers. Vexstar and his mercenaries opened fire. Bullets and energy bolts slammed into Tajin's armor. The human didn't even flinch. The rounds sparked off his plating, leaving small scorch marks, but no real damage. Tajin raised the minigun. The barrels began to spin. Take cover. Krell shouted. The tunnel erupted in fire and thunder. Tajin's minigun roared, thousands of rounds tearing through the air. The walls exploded into shrapnel. Metal shredded like paper. Vexstar dove behind a support beam, feeling rounds whip past his head. One of the mercenaries wasn't fast enough. The minigun cut him in half, armor and all. His body fell in pieces. 2 left. We can't fight that. Krell screamed over the gunfire. The ceiling! Vexstar pointed up. Bring it down on him. Krell pulled out his last explosive charge and threw it at the tunnel roof above Tajin. The charge stuck and detonated. The ceiling collapsed, tons of rock and metal crashing down. Dust filled the air. Silence fell. Vexstar peered through the smoke. The pile of rubble was 3 meters high. Nothing could survive that. Then the rubble shifted. Tajin stood up, shrugging off the debris. His armor was dented, but intact. He picked up his minigun again. Running now, Krell said. They ran back the way they came, but the tunnel behind them exploded. Sora's work. The demolitions expert had cut off their escape route. They were trapped between Tajin and a collapsed tunnel. Down. Vexstar spotted a maintenance hatch in the floor. He pulled it open and dropped through, Krell following. They fell into a lower level, landing hard on concrete. Above them, Tajin's minigun fired again, chewing through the floor. They scrambled away, running through a maze of service corridors. This way, Krell gasped, pointing. Service elevator. It leads to the landing pad. They reached the elevator and pulled the doors open manually. The shaft was dark, cables hanging in the void. But Vexstar could see light above. The surface level. The ship. Climb, he ordered. They grabbed the cables and started pulling themselves up. Vexstar's arms burned. His scales were slick with sweat. Below, he could hear sounds. Footsteps. The humans were coming. Halfway up the shaft, Vexstar saw movement above. A shadow blocking the light. Someone was waiting at the top. Jinwoo dropped down on top of Krell. The human landed on the mercenary's shoulders with perfect balance, riding him like a surfboard. Before Krell could react, Jinwoo drove a combat knife through the top of his skull. Krell's body went limp and fell, tumbling into the darkness below. One left. Vexstar fired up at Jinwoo, but the human was already moving, swinging on the cables with inhuman agility. Jinwoo kicked off the wall and drove both feet into Vexstar's chest. Ribs cracked. Vexstar lost his grip and fell. He caught a cable 10 meters down, pain shooting through his arms. Above him, Jinwoo stood on a maintenance platform, watching. "Just you now," the human said. "How does it feel, being the last one?" "You're monsters," Vexstar gasped. "No, we're what humans become when they decide to win at any cost." Jinwoo tilted his head. "You should climb. Minho wants to talk to you before the end." Vexstar pulled himself up, hand over hand, expecting a knife in his back at any moment. But Jinwoo just watched, letting him climb. When Vexstar reached the top platform, strong hands grabbed him and pulled him up. Minho stood there, weapon lowered. Around him were the rest of his team. All 6 of them, together for the first time. Hannah with her sniper rifle, Yuna with her tablet, Sora with her explosives, Diane watching silently, Taijan's armored bulk filling the corridor, Jinwoo wiping blood off his knife. They looked young, Vexstar realized. None of them could be older than 25, but their eyes were ancient, filled with death and duty. "You fought well," Minho said. "Better than most. You lasted almost 8 hours. That's a record." Vexstar laughed bitterly. 8 hours. 40 of the best mercenaries in the galaxy, and we lasted 8 hours. You want to know why you lost? Minho asked. "I know why. You're enhanced, modified, built to kill." "No, that's not why." Minho stepped closer. "You lost because you fight for money, for reputation, for yourself. We fight for each other, for humanity, for something bigger than ourselves. That's the difference between mercenaries and soldiers. You're going to kill me now." "Yes." "Can I ask why you let me get this far? Why not just shoot me in the elevator shaft?" Minho gestured to the landing pad beyond the door. "Because we wanted you to see something first." The door opened. Vexstar stumbled outside into the cold night air. His ship sat on the landing pad, exactly where they had left it, except it wasn't empty. Inside the cockpit, through the windscreen, Vexstar could see bodies. The crew they had left on the ship to guard it. All dead. Killed while the ground team fought inside the facility. "We took your ship 3 hours ago," Minho said. "Your communications officer tried to call for help. Hannah put a round through the cum array from 1,500 meters. Your pilot tried to launch. Yuna crashed their systems. The guards tried to fight. The others handled them. You could have left at any time," Vexstar realized. "You had our ship. You had total control. But then, we wouldn't have learned anything new. You and your crew taught us valuable lessons tonight. About squad cohesion under stress. About the breaking point of mercenary morale. About countering shapeshifter tactics." Vexstar fell to his knees. He had nothing left. No crew, no ship, no hope. "For what it's worth," Minho said, "you did better than most. The last crew only lasted 4 hours. How many?" Vexstar asked. "How many crews have you killed?" "You're the 23rd. The military sends us contractors who take jobs against human facilities. Pirates, terrorists, mercenaries, all thinking they can hit soft targets. All learning the same lesson." "What lesson?" Minho crouched down, meeting Vexstar's eyes. "That humanity doesn't have soft targets anymore. Every human facility, every colony, every ship is protected by people like us. We are everywhere. We are watching. And if you come for us, you don't leave alive." Vexstar closed his eyes. Make it quick. Of course. You deserve that much. The last thing Vexstar heard was the safety clicking off on Minho's sidearm. Then darkness. 3 hours later, a cleanup crew arrived. They collected the bodies, cataloged the weapons, and analyzed the combat data. The mercenary ship was scrubbed of all identification and sent adrift in deep space. Within a week, word spread through the mercenary networks. Another crew lost on a human contract. 40 fighters gone without a trace. The job had looked easy. The money had been good. On Freehold 9, in the same bar where it all started, mercenaries gathered to share information. The scarred old veteran sat in his corner, drinking alone. He heard the news and nodded to himself. Another lesson delivered. Another warning ignored. A young mercenary approached his table. Is it true? About Vexstar's crew? The old veteran looked up with haunted eyes. All true. 40 went in. None came back. Just like my crew. Just like the crews before that. But they were the best. Vexstar never failed a job. That's what we all thought. That's why we keep taking the contracts. The old veteran finished his drink. The humans post these jobs themselves, you know? Easy money for raiding their facilities. They use us for training, for practice, for testing their monsters, their special forces, Chimera program operators, enhanced humans, built from childhood to kill, each one worth 100 normal soldiers. The old veteran stood up, dropping credits on the table. The galaxy has a new rule now. You can fight humans. You can even win sometimes. But their special forces, those things that look human but aren't anymore, if you see them, you're already dead. The young mercenary watched him leave, then looked at the job board. A new contract had just posted. High pay, human target. Light security. His hand moved toward the accept button. Then he remembered Vexstar. 40 fighters. 8 hours. 0 survivors. He walked away. In a facility on a distant moon, Minho reviewed the combat data with his team.